video is going to cover how to get good portrait shots without spending a fortune on a lens. Here in front of me I have a Tamron 18 to 200 f3.5 to 5.6. I picked this lens up for about $150 on Amazon. At a 200 millimeters, zoomed all the way out, you can get a very nice blurred background and really make your subject stand out. Another option would be a 70 to 300 f4 to 5.6, like the Nikon. Depending on which camera you have, Canon also has the exact same thing. The nicer lenses, like the L lenses in the Canons, go down to an aperture of f2.8, which gives you a very nice shallow depth of field. However, this will give you a similar effect using one of these lenses in normal lighting conditions. Keep in mind, if you're shooting outdoor sports and the sun's going down, some of your images are going to blur because of the amount of light. That's where a professional lens is going to give you better images in low light. But for most everyday situations of shooting pictures, when you're outdoors or even indoors with a lot of light, you can get away with a lens like this. These lenses, like I said, are under $200. To go to a professional style lens like a Canon 70 to 200 f2.8, you're talking $1,000 used, even more new. And the higher up you go, obviously the same thing. Even a 24 to 70 f2.8. But you can get similar effects without having to spend all that money. And if you're just learning photography, it's a perfect way to try it. The way this works is when you have your camera and you zoom all the way out to 200 or 300, depending on the lens you have, you're compressing your background, which gives you that nice blurred effect. As you can see here, I'm using a 300 millimeter on my Nikon that I have. This is the D3000, and I've got 70 to 300 at 300. This is an outdoor situation. I'm shooting at f5.6, which is the lowest aperture, which is the maximum aperture I can get with this lens at 300 millimeter. As you can see, this image has my subject, which is my niece here, in focus, but the background is out of focus and it really makes her stand out. Also, with this lens, I took a picture of my brother when we were doing some work around the house as he walked by. As you can see in this image, there's a lot of daylight, and at 5.6 at 300 millimeter, I get the same effect with him, where he's standing out and the black background is very blurred. Now keep in mind, if you were to go and get a nicer lens, having that maximum aperture of 2.8 or 1.8 is going to give you a tremendous amount of ability in a lower light situation. Another option, if you want a lens that is f1.8 or 2.8, would be to look at a 50 millimeter f1.8. Canon makes one, Nikon makes one. They're around $100. And if you want to get a little better, where you get a very nice, crisp image at f2.4, f2.8, f2, take a look at the Sigma 50 millimeter f1.4. Now keep in mind, lenses have what's called a sweet spot, which is usually around f8 to f11. With the 50 millimeter 1.8, you'll get not as sharp images at f1.8, f2, f2.8. But really, unless you zoom in very far and really take a look, you're really not going to see it. Even if you're printing them 8 by 10, you're not going to notice a difference. So those are a couple options to be able to get really good shots where you can get your subject to stand out, but at the same time not spend a fortune on a lens. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment or send me a message, or as always, you can visit the website for more information or to send me an email and ask me a question. Be sure to also check out Facebook and click like on the page. This has been the photo tip for this week. Next week we are going to cover different types of sensors and what the difference is with them and what you can get as far as a result out of them and what one might be best for you, whether it's a Micro Four Thirds, which is what I'm shooting this video on, an APS-C like this, D3000, or a full frame sensor. But that'll be next week, and we'll cover what the advantages and disadvantages are and some of the price differences. Thanks for watching.